Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Today I'm going to be talking about Fair Isle again because we're getting into that season. Sorry, I just took a shower, so my hair's wet, which is like the norm on these videos, I think. My hair's usually wet, so that's fine. Anyway, yeah, I'm recording in like the middle of the day, not the afternoon. It's not the middle of the afternoon yet. It's like 1:30. It's 1:54, just kidding. But yeah, I usually record in the mornings. I didn't even think about it this morning. Well, we were leaving pretty early for this thing that we went to. My roommates and my friend and me all went I. That's an I, yeah. A big pet peeve of mine is when people say like, it's, you know, Peter and I's anniversary. No. My, Peter and my. I just threw in a random name there. But, you know, the rule is if you take away the other person and say, I went to the store, you'd be like, Nitin and I went to the store. But if you were gonna say, like, a bad thing happened to me, a bad thing happened to me, a bad thing happened to Hannah and me. Didn't happen to Hannah and I, Hannah and me, right? People use I to sound smart and it makes them sound dumb. So that's a huge pet peeve of mine. My mom calls me the grammar police, but both my parents have PhDs in English and I don't. So I don't know why I'm the grammar police. It doesn't matter, whatever. Anyway, we all got up early to go to the Hampton, which is a neighborhood in Baltimore, for this thing called Hampton Fest, which is just like a street festival in this neighborhood where they close off a street. And there's all these like art vendors and cool stuff, and bands perform. And so the reason we went was because, well, we might've gone anyway because it was fun, but my roommate Jordan, her coworker Steve, her senior designer, that's his title, and she's the junior designer, so it's like her coworker Steve, his band was playing this morning. So we went to see that. We went to brunch, and we went to see Steve's band, and then we like walked around a bit, and then I did buy some yarn. There was some yarn that was really inexpensive. It was like half off, and it was West Yorkshire Spinners fleece, like the Jacob fleece yarn, and they have always had that there, and it's always like been inexpensive. It's like $15 a skein, but I think they're trying to get rid of it, and it was half off, and I was like, okay, $7 a skein for like 100% Jacob fleece wool. That sounds nice. So I just got a sweater quantity, and it was inexpensive, and I'm glad that I bought it. That's one of the things that I do. I'm like, I try not to buy yarn, just like, I almost never have the intention of going somewhere and buying yarn unless it's like, I'm looking for something for a particular project. But like, if I'm in a yarn store and there's a really good deal and I'm like, well, I would totally like to knit with that yarn sometime, and this is a good deal. There's a flyover. Oh, it's Fleet Week. Fleet Week is like you know, I want to say planes, trains, and automobiles, but it's mostly boats and planes. It's like it's this thing where Nitin wouldn't be able to explain this so much better because his work is the company that presents it. But it's like they're showing off boats and stuff, and you can like, their boats are just in the harbor and you can like walk onto the boats. It's just like cool. You can just go. It's like super cool. So we walked around the harbor last night to like check the boats out, but they were all like closed. You can only go on the boats until like 5, so too late. But it was cool to see them. And that was that noise. It was just 4. I looked up because we have a skylight there, and 4 planes were like flying in a formation overhead. So that's fun. Anyway, I'm recording in the middle of the afternoon for that reason. So we got up early and we went to Hampton. And I think Jordan's still there. Hannah and I came home. She's taking a nap. I decided to record. I have a bunch of stuff I want to do, a bunch of knitting I want to do, but I figured I'd record. Because I think I'm going to go to church tomorrow. I think I'm going to go to a new church tomorrow. I'm still working on which church I want to go to in Baltimore and which choir I want to sing with and stuff like that. But anyway, I don't want to be rushed tomorrow morning, so figured I'd record. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about Fair Isle, which if you've watched my channel since the beginning, this was like the reason I started. I wanted to do Fair Isle stuff. I want to talk about this all the time, and I was like deep into it. I was deep into Fair Isle at the time, and I still am. Like, I have a ton of the Shetland wool, and I like to play around with it. It's just that like sometimes I'm in the phase where I'm like, my brain's like, knit this, and then I want to knit that, and it's like really fun. And I can kind of get myself into it, but if you know, especially if it's like summer or like spring and I'm like, it's not really Fair Isle season. This is like the time, like it's September when I want to cast on a big Fair Isle project and like knit on it. And it's like, I'm inside more, like I said last week, I don't know. So if you are following, if you were watched last week, you saw my Hilda, I pulled Hilda back out. I started on that sleeve. I finished the first one and then I was gonna pull out the second one. It went great, but when I cut it off, I couldn't actually knit from the top. Like it didn't want to unravel that way, which is fine. I just like basically unraveled it from the bottom of the sleeve and I like wound each color like onto itself. So like the dark browns were all with the dark browns and it was like, it was pre-cut. It was kind of nice because the sleeve was getting, I was making the sleeve smaller. So I needed less yarn than I actually had. So by the time I got to the bottom, I'd have like a big length left and I'd have to cut it. But anyway, I finished it. So I finished it on Thursday night. Here it is, totally done, crazy. And I did the finishing on Friday morning and I just like, I wove in the ends for the second sleeve, which took 45 minutes. And then I just kind of stitched down the steek bridges on the insides of the arm size and the neck. You can see there is the steek bridge for the neck, for instance, that I stitched down. I'll show you the inside if you want to see it. I like looking at the inside of Fair Isle. It looks really cool. There's the floats. Again, the more practice you have with this, the nicer your floats will look. I'm gonna put it on for you because it's fun. It's a tiny bit wet still on the front. It's been drying outside for the last 24 hours or so. And, but yeah, it's the perfect size that I wanted. So it's a little roomy, but like the sleeves are the perfect length. As you can see, I just like, you know, I can fit like a big shirt underneath and go out in this, like outside into the weather. It's just like, I mean, I just can't even, I'm so excited about it. I'm so proud of it. It's really like, you know, I started the whole journey of like, I used to have a blog, called, I guess it was called Barnaby Knits, my knitting blog. And I remember writing posts in summer of 2020 about Fair Isle. And I'm drinking a bubbly lime today. Not my favorite, but we don't have anything else. So we just have plain and lime. So I started, you know, when I was like decided that I wanted to get into this, I started collecting shell-and wool. I got excited about it. I started knitting that lapwing sweater. You know, I didn't really know anything. I mean, I knew how to knit and I knew how to knit color work, but I didn't really, I read, and then I read about the traditions of Fair Isle and like kind of about the traditions of that knitting style a lot. And I got a lot of books, got a lot of shell-and wool, collected it in a huge number of colors. And I just kind of experimented. I knitted a lot of hats. Again, I knitted a bunch of stuff from Fair Isle Weekend, which you'll see my project that I talked about last week that I pulled back out from the Fair Isle Weekend book. Yeah, all sorts of just like, I don't know, I just started knitting all sorts of stuff. I knit little fingerless gloves. Knitted a bunch of hats, like keps, from the Shetland Wool Week annuals. Really enjoyed all that. It's crazy to think that that was more than 2 years ago that kind of all started. And I really wanted to be able to do something like this, just to do it. I was like, I want to know, like, what's the measurements? Like, what are the stitch counts that I need for me? How long should this be? You know, I wanted to get something like this as a benchmark for, like, you know, I mean, this looks like, if you saw me wearing this, it's oversized. It looks like an 80s sweater. But like, it looks authentic. This is what I wanted. I wanted something I wanted to be able to knit with real Shetland wool. I wanted it to, you know, have I wanted the finishing to be nice, you know, the collar, like I wanted a proper crew neck to fit properly. I wanted to figure out the neck steek stuff. Yeah. Oh, there's another one. I'm gonna fly over. I don't know if I'll be able to see this one. No, I can't see this one, but cool. No, it's just loud. So yeah, I feel like I've knit several things. Like I knit the Bray cardigan from Anne Feidelson's The Art of Fair Isle Knitting. And I had to do a ton of edits to that just to like get it to fit properly because my vertical gauge was not the same as her vertical gauge. I did the Mayonnaise jacket, which ended up way too small for many reasons. The lapwing, again, had some issues. The bray was my favorite. I really think that was kind of a triumphant finish. Like, it really ended up the way I wanted it to. So when bray was finished, which I think I finished it last June, then I decided to make this, and I waited a couple months to cast this on because it was the summer and I was like, I don't want to do that. So about a year ago, I cast this piece on. I knit the body. Yeah, the body was done around before I left Baltimore for Christmas. The body was done because I was working on the sleeve when I was in Philly before I went home for Christmas. And then I made that sleeve and it ended up way too big and I didn't know what to do. And so I was like, it needs to have a timeout. I need to be like really inspired to make this fit. And eventually in February, I started the other sleeve. Then I put it away legitimately until last week. And I finished, well, last time you saw it, I had finished that part of the sleeve, like the last 4 bands, and I was working on the cuff. But then I had to knit the entire other sleeve and I did it this week. So I was really excited that like, to see that I really wanted to do that and to see that I like had I didn't know if I would get bored of it and put it down. But, you know, I think when you can see the finish line, it really helps. But I was like, yeah, I had the grit and like the drive to finish that. And that was great. I was really proud about, that was the thing I was most proud about, was really just like the actual like sit down and finish this project, because it's been sitting around for a year and I'm trying to do like a year max with whips now. It's just that's my kind of thing. It's like, I don't want to have things be sitting there. It's no fun. So what's next? I already talked a lot about this. This is the 6th video in which I'm talking about Hilda. So I've got a whole playlist of Hilda videos. It's linked in the show notes. You can watch from the beginning if you want, which is all the way from last September, which is kind of crazy. So let's talk about the other 2 Fair Isle projects I have going. This was the bag that was housing my Hilda until it was done. This is my Hohi box. No, it's huge. It's huge. It's like a Hohi tote. It has like salt stains on it everywhere, but it's like leather. It's beautiful. I love it. It has indigo stains too from when I used indigo. I could probably just like rub these out. But anyway, it's a really nice big leather tote bag that I like a lot. So this has just been on the needles forever. Also, I started this piece. This is a cowl that I designed, and I started it for the Woolly Thistles accessory knit along. That's when I started it. And I just thought, let me do a banded cowl. I did a couple of these. Back when I was nannying, I knit 2 like this. So, no, I knit 3. I knit the Vari cowl from Fair Isle Weekend. and then I designed 2 of them. And the Vari cowl is, yeah, so it's like a Mobius twist cowl. So if you've ever seen like Andrea Mowry's Pink Velvet, it looks like that. It's basically a cowl you knit this longer-ish tube, but it's just gonna go around your neck one time, one circle. But you can just have it like, and then you graft it together. You can just graft it straight, but most people put a twist in it and graft it together like that, just so there's a twist in it. It's kind of cozy, snuggly. I have one, I kept one, gave the first one to Brooke, the kid's mom. I made that for Brooke. It was really nice. It was a green and it was 2 greens and like a natural brown and like a charcoal color. That was a nice one. And then I made the blue and gray one for me. And I made the pink and purple one, and I gave that to my friend Lauren because she loves pink and it suited her. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one. I was thinking about giving it to my friend Catherine because she likes green, but then I thought that she might want one that pops over the head that's kind of softer. So I'm gonna keep it, we'll see. Oh, Fleet Week, more shows. I feel like I'm in a war zone. It's probably a horrible thing to say. It's loud, it's loud. Yeah, so this is just, sorry. I basically decided to do the kind of larger band Peary. This is kind of how the one in, is it called Vari? Maybe it's called something else. I don't think it is called Vari. I think that's a Gudrun Johnston pattern. MJ Michael Stone's is called something else and it starts with a V. I'm gonna link it in the show notes, I promise. And I'll link my project page. Maybe it doesn't start with a V. It's a cowl and it's beautiful and it's like pops right over your head. Anyway, that one that she did for Fair Isle weekend is the same concept of like using a bigger pattern, alternating with a smaller pattern. And I like that. I mean, this one, the bands are more equal, like they're just different shades, right? Like the shading's different. So these bands are pretty much equal in terms of how wide they are. But on some sweaters, that's not the case. Like my Mayana sweater, for instance, had bands of very different sizes, all alternating and stuff. And so this is like that. It's like, there's a big one and a small one. And sometimes I've done cowls where like these will change, or like they'll go every other, or these will change. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna offset the X's and O's here. So it's the same pattern, it's just that these are offset. So X lines up with O, which then lines up with X, which then lines up with O. And the piers are all gonna be the same because it's just simpler that way. So just to see if I like that. So I do like this a lot. I really like it. Simple. I like the banded designs because you can kind of think, okay, I gotta get one of these done today, and it's like a pretty manageable, it's like a manageable undertaking. You can really see progress. You can count repeats easily and be like, okay, I know one more or whatever. So I can't decide if I'm gonna do 11 or 12 of the green repeats. I think I'm gonna do 11 because you want an odd number because you're gonna twist it. So you want at the halfway point an X to line up with an O and not another X, which it would only do if, although I guess you could just offset it not by exactly half. That could be fine too. I don't know, that's too much thinking. We'll see what happens. I'm just gonna see how long I need to make it and then we'll see. So regardless, it's at least half done. This is about half done. Although 4 of the repeats were already done. I just did one yesterday and then I did one this morning. So I got a good chunk done. That's a lot of knitting. I mean, compared to how much Fair Isle did on this, it doesn't feel like that much. And that's the thing, it's like, okay, I'm past the halfway mark, so maybe I'll be like into it, but like with this, you have a huge thing and you're like, I'm just doing this last part, I gotta get to the end. You know, it's getting smaller, I'm racing to the finish, that kind of thing. Whereas this, it's like, no, I don't know. It's hard to necessarily see progress. The reason it's all scrunched at the bottom was because a scrunchie was holding it together so that I can keep the 2 of the balls inside while I work on. Basically what happens is I usually break the yarn at the end of the short section I'm using those colors for, but here in the middle you can see it's the bands are this band is symmetrical. So it's like on the outside it's the second to darkest gray and the second to darkest green. But then there's the like grass green with the like lichen color, and that there's only 3 rounds of the white with the lighter green in the middle. So I like shove this one inside while I work on the white one, and then I'll bring it back out so I don't have to cut it because it doesn't have to float over more than 3 rounds. Anyway, so I like to like cinch it and then put the balls of yarn inside and just they hang out there until the white and the lighter green are done. So in case I haven't talked about this, I think the last time I talked about it was actually on the Woolly Thistles channel. So regardless, I'm gonna just tell you what I'm using. So I've got 4 background colors and 1, 2, 4. Oh, there it is. Foreground colors. This one's just weird. Okay, foreground, background. So they're always matched. I'm not offsetting them at all. Sometimes I offset them and that looks cool too, but I'm not doing that here. The lightest one's matched up with the lightest one. Then the second lightest matched up with the second lightest. Then 3 and 3 and 4 and 4. So the foreground colors in order from light to dark. This is Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight in 1A. It's just 1 white. It's like I think it's 1A. I came off a cone, so I don't even know. I have a cone of this. So the cone of all these grays and whites. Anyway, it's color 1A, I think. It's just white. It's nice. And then this second lightest For background color is Jameson's of Shetland Spindrift in the colorway Rye. Rye. These have like names, whereas Jameson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight just has numbers. This one is 27 gray, I think. I think this is 54 gray and this one's 27 gray. But no, that's wrong. This is 27 gray. This lighter one is 202. Sorry, it gets confusing. So third lightest or second from the dark end, the third in the line from light to dark is 202, light gray. These don't look as different before you wash them. They look much more different after you wash them because these are coned. Yeah, both these came off cones. This is 27, also from a cone. I think that's attached, yeah, it's attached. Okay, the foreground colors are Jameson Smith 2-ply jumper weight and color 1282 mix, which is very exciting. There's like reds and stuff in there, mostly reds and like blues. Very mixed, very heathered, but predominantly light green. It's nice. It's a very nuanced, bespoke color. This is shade 118. This is the only solid one in the, other than the white, I guess. These are the only two solids. This is the only solid. This is 118, which is like a grassy green. Jameson Smith 2-ply jumper weight. This is Moss, Jameson's of Shetland Spindrift. Moss. Moss is a really popular colorway, and because I think Marie Wallen uses it in a lot of her designs in Spindrift and Shetland and Meadow were her two Jameson's collections, I think, before she started doing her own line of yarn. And this guy's got a lot of yellow, it's got a lot of red heathering, just like little flecks. It's very fun. It's a lot, but I like it. And then this one I think is Pine, yeah, Pine. Jameson's of Shetland Spindrift in Pine. So Pine, there it is. So you can see how these play together. I'll hold them up next to each other. And you know, your shifts don't have to be super accurate. It's just kind of a vague kind of painting of light to dark here. The lightest, and then you got these ones in the middle, and then it shifts to the darkest. Again, there's a big difference between these two than there is between the other three, but like, it still just kind of looks like this, yeah, painted kind of cowl. So these are the light colors, the foreground colors next to each other. Yeah. I really, I did a hat, which you can probably see like back in January sometime. I was probably working on it. And these were the background colors, just these three, the white, the gray, and the dark gray, medium gray, the white and the two grays. And it just seemed too harsh, like the white to gray, I just didn't like it as much. And I thought, okay, well, what did I do in those cowls that I really liked? Oh, there was a super light blue that helped fade from the white to the gray. So I did white, super light blue, and then like basically these two grays in a cowl like this that I had done before, the blue one, which again, you can probably see Blue Cap and Cowl is like, it's like one of my earliest episodes. It's like episode 7 or something. But I showed that cowl that I had designed. And so I just said, all right, well, I'm gonna have to find a green to just pop in the middle. And it really worked. It really helped the transition along in a useful way. So see that? Yeah, it really looks very quote unquote painterly. It really has a nice, there's a lot to it. It's a lot of body and the color changes. It really looks nice. The other thing I like about this green having the kind of heathered flecks of red is that I didn't decide on having a pop of color in this one. So, but because this one's in the middle, you kind of get that exciting pop and like heathering there, which I like a lot. Yeah. Smells these guys smell like lanolin, the ones that came off cones. So yeah, I'm hoping to kind of do this in the next week. And I'm thinking about doing other Fair Isle projects. I'm trying to think of like, okay, I'm gonna start with a few hats because just kind of ease myself back in, look at some color combos I like, that kind of thing. You know, I have an idea of making a couple of vests. I told a couple of friends I would make vests for them, as I said last week. I'm getting better at remembering what I said last week. So again, let's look at this. There's no pattern for this, in case you're wondering. I made this up. Maybe I'll write the pattern, but I don't know, cast on 148 stitches, something, 40, I don't know, 144 stitches, I want to say. 48 times 3 is 96, 144. So, yeah. That's how many stitches are in there. It's a 24 stitch repeat. So 48 if you are offsetting it and counting that. So anyway, yeah, cool. So that's that. And I don't know, I think I'm gonna try to maybe cast on a vest or something. I would really also like to do a Fair Isle sweater like this, like a big jumper like this. That's the background is pretty much, I haven't decided. Either the background is all white and then I do a variety of blues, or I do the shifting background like in this cowl where it's like white and also light blue and also like a light gray. Give it a little bit more visual interest. I don't know if I would do just blues or if I would have like a pop of like rust or something. That could be really cool. I don't know if I would do an all over pattern or bands. Yeah, I have to wait until the Fair Isle gods call to me with that sweater. Right now I'm feeling like more of a pull towards vests for Fair Isle just because there's no sleeves. But yeah. Okay, let's talk about the lower low. Because I mentioned this, I talked about it like somewhat extensively last week and I did not have it. And I was like, well, sorry. I am knitting it, but it's not here. So here we go. If you, again, I think I linked the last video about it in the show notes, so you can go see that. But it's just, you can't really see how wide it is because it's on needles right now, but it's quite wide. It has a plain band of Fair Isle. I did something stupid and didn't foreground the red. I foregrounded the yellow here, but it still looks fine. It's cute. It's not really a problem. I did foreground the blue in the middle. But yeah, I really like this little band. It's really sweet. So they look like flags a little bit because of the tri-colored. Yeah. Anyway, so this is knit. The main body is knit in Jameson Shetland's Supreme Jumper Weight, which is basically every yarn in this except the red is also Shetland Supreme Jumper Weight. So it's the undyed natural Shetland wool jumper weight. It's slightly thicker than the 2-ply jumper weight, and you know that you get like this. This has 125 yards for 25 grams, which would be 250 yards if you made it 50 grams, which this is, but this is only 188 yards. So this is a bit thicker, less yardage, but it's a little more plump. But you can knit them together. Like you can see here, the red was knit with a Supreme Jumper Weight color. The color work looks fine. So, yep, this is shade 2003, which I think is Shayla. I had a bunch of these, they weren't all the same lot. So, tried to figure out which was which. And right now I know that I have, this is 129.66, 129.66, and then this one's 129.66. So most of them are the same, but this one is different and it's 13,883. You can't really tell. So, that this is different, but because it might cause pooling or something, I am doing some helical knitting just until this skein runs out. And then I'll just knit normal. So I think, oh, there's that tack. I got this from work. I've just been playing with this little tack at work. And yeah, it disappeared yesterday under my desk and this is clearly where it went. So I'm gonna stop playing with it. Yeah, so as I said, the piece is written to be knit. The cowl that I was thinking of from Fair Isle Weekend is called Cowl, K-U-V-V-E-L, Cowl cowl. That's the MJ Mucklestone one. Anyway, I kept saying Vari, but I think Vari by Gudrun, I think that's a Gudrun Johnston pattern, and I think that's also a Mobius twist pattern, so check that one out too. So anyway, I will link them both in the show notes. Okay, so this is a pattern that is from Fair Isle Weekend, which is MJ Mucklestone's collection that she did. It's like 8 patterns. All of them are really accessible. I really like the collection as a whole. There's 2 sweaters, both with just like minimal kind of color work. Like this one has the color work here. The other one is just like a traditional yoke sweater. It's called Cowl I. I couldn't remember the name of it last week. But I did a steek. I have 2 to 3 videos on it. I can't remember, but I have some videos on Cowl I from May, April, June 2021 time, ages ago. But I think I showed some steeking maybe on that. Anyway, doesn't matter. There's also a vest, which does have 3 steeks because it's a V-neck vest. So your steek here, here, and here. I think I'm getting at that vest and fingering weight. I'm just going to adjust it. But anyway, this is the lower low, which I started in probably March of 2021. I remember knitting the Fair Isle band on a playground with the kids in, where was that? We went out to, it was in Virginia somewhere. And I remember going there for some reason. There was an ice cream place there because we went back there another time and there was this great ice cream place when it was hot, but it was cold that day. They must have been off school for some reason. Maybe it was like President's Day, maybe it was February. And I took them all the way out there just because like taking a long drive with them, with like listening to Disney or something, just made them like chill. And I would like take them on these long drives in the minivan and play Disney, and like it was, they would be quiet and like they would like stop hitting each other, and like, you know, it was like, you know, sometimes being in the car was like soothing for them. So I drove them all the way out there for like essentially no reason, because it was just like they were never gonna get off each other's backs or something if we were not driving, or if they were just, you know, whatever. And it was like a new playground, and they always loved to go to new playgrounds. It was like, it wasn't Falls Church, that was a playground that was a great playground. It was a great playground in Falls Church that I used to take them to. But it was way out. God, where was that? I don't remember. And I won't remember. So I don't know why but I remember sitting there like under like a pagoda thing, because it was kind of gross outside and it was cold. It wasn't freezing, but it was like 45 degrees and it was just kind of like gray. And I remember working on this because I remember how bright the colors were. And I think I just made it past the Fair Isle band and I was working on the body, and I was knitting and knitting away on it while the kids played on the playground. Wow, it feels like a lifetime ago, and yet also 5 minutes ago at the same time. It's kind of wild. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, so it's meant to be knit like this. There's a split hem with this really nice seed stitch split hem. I love this. And you join it, knit a couple of rounds, do your Fair Isle band, and then you just kind of knit until you get to a certain length. And then you are supposed to separate the front and the back and just work them separately, like work the back and then work the front, and then you're eventually going to work the front in 2 pieces because there's a V-neck, and you're basically just working flat. It's easy because there's no Fair Isle, so you can just do that. And then you graft it together at the shoulders, and you pick up the stitches around each sleeve hole, because you're not sewing up the sleeve. You're gonna pick up all those stitches just like in this. Pick up all the stitches around the sleeve, knit the sleeve down. So it's a drop shoulder V-neck. Really, really nice finishing with that seed stitch. I loved it. I really wanted to make it for my grandma, and maybe I'll still give it to her. I don't know yet. But yeah, I had, again, like I said, I had all these plans. Like, I don't want to do that purling because my gauge will be off, and I hate purling, and I just didn't want to. So figured I would do, like, maybe I would like knit some sleeves separately, do a little raglan moment, you know, basically make my raglan seams and do a V-neck like steek. And then I was like, if I can make 1 steek, why can't I make 3 steeks? Why don't I just get to the split and do sleeve steek bridges as well? And then it'll just be exactly like it is in the pattern. You follow the pattern shaping, you've just got steek bridges, and you're doing it all at the same time instead of one side and the other side. And then you just graft the shoulders to just exactly like you would do this. You do the steek things. You make steek bridges, put a few stitches on hold, cast on a steek bridge, work that steek bridge. Every time you get to it, needle felt it to secure it, cut them open, and pick up your sleeve stitches. No problems. I've done this so many times. I'm like, why can't I do this with a plain knit sweater to avoid purling? Oh, I can. So I'm gonna do that. And I think I am pretty close to the place where I will start doing the steek bridges. Like, I feel like it wasn't supposed to be super long. This is about 12 inches. Normally, I mean, like this probably has like, I would say that's gotta be 15 or 16 inches between my steek bridge and the hem here, but I don't think, yeah, this is more of like, I don't know, it's like a loose cropped. I gotta look at the pattern and see how long it's supposed to be. So I might do it a little longer. So I've got yarn. This is a lot of yarn. So it's like, these aren't full balls, but they're close to full balls. I got like at least 150 grams of yarn here. That's plenty to finish this. And if I didn't have enough, I would just get another ball and do helical knitting. I think there's more downstairs. So much shelled yarn. Yeah, I just don't always know how many colors of each I have, but if I go down there and I look, I'm like, oh, there's another one. Cool. It's a different dye lot, so I better do helical knitting, but like, okay, no problem. So yeah, I'm working on this for vanilla knitting right now. I was gonna cast on another sweater. I was gonna cast on the second reindeer sweater for my brother, but I said, that's all right, I'll wait until I kind of either finish this cowl or like make some serious progress or even finish this, because this is vanilla and I'm like, I just kind of want to be working on one thing at a time right now. It's nice to have variety, but I need to have more of this done before I start another sweater, because then I'll just get swept up in that. It's super quick, it's Aran weight. Again, it's so quick, I'll probably just do it in a week, but I'm like, no. I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna finish most of this so that I don't want to have too many irons in the fire anymore. It just gets kind of stressful. It's like, what do I want to work on? Well, I want to finish that, but it's not going to get done because it's so close to the beginning. So I'm just trying to have a handle on the whips, like have a handle in a situation where I'm like, I know what I have here. There's like 3 to 4 active whips, including socks. And it's like, I'm just kind of rotating through them and nothing gets kind of lost in the shuffle. So that's the idea of going forward. I would kind of like to just keep one fair isle always, and one maybe something with textures or lace or cables, and then like one vanilla and then some socks. So again, I also really want to start like a cabled sweater or something. Just, I feel like it's winter, maybe it's the time, work on it slowly, really only have that as my main difficult whip, so that like when I'm sitting around, that's what I want to work on. Maybe use worsted weight so that it doesn't go super slow. I've got definitely have a big sweater quantity of Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in the green button jar colorway. And I'm thinking of making like a Thea Coleman cardigan, maybe more of a textured one, not necessarily a cabled one, but still be nice to have that. Really comfortable, that kind of thing. I'm trying to decide, like, especially since I'm somebody who knits, myself a lot of stuff, like what don't I have? And I wanna kind of add to my wardrobe, not just like keep making the same thing over and over again, because then I get bored and I give it away, which is great. I like to give my knits away too, but it's nice to like knit something that you really want and to like really be able to make it to the specifications that you want it. I think that's one of the nice things about being a knitter at a more advanced level, is that you get to really control the knit. You get to decide what you want. You get to do it. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do like I've been wanting to make a striped sweater with Lopi, because I have so much Lopi, just like random half skeins of Lopi. Been wanting to make a striped sweater with it, just because I think it would be fun. Things like that. It's a lot going on these days. A lot in my head, trying not to get too much onto my needles all at the same time. But I try to, like, when the thoughts start to pile up, I do try to write them down. Like I have like a Google Drive document where it's like knitting brain dump, I think that's what it's called. And I just, I can kind of, interesting. It's just reading the can. Yeah, I feel like it's just kind of like it's good to kind of get it out of my head and onto a page, and then it doesn't crowd my thoughts. But I was just reading the can. It says, I feel I can be open around you. I feel like I can be open around you. Ha ha ha. Some of them say these sips don't lie, which is also funny. If you like me or a Shakira fan, these sips don't lie is very funny. Cool. Yeah, so I just still have a bunch of whips because I have like 4 sock whips. At least 3 I've been pretty active with this week. So I gotta, yeah. And these are really just my 2 other projects though. I was gonna show that Yale sweater. Maybe I'll show that next week because I'm just gonna rip it out. It's not gonna get done. I'm gonna repurpose that palette yarn for something else. Maybe a cowl, a colorwork cowl that I fold in on itself or something. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I've got ideas. There's stuff hanging out in my brain that I need to, yeah. Anyway, but this afternoon, Jordan and I are gonna do pattern layout, and that's exciting too. Gotta photograph some socks and get that all ready to go. That's exciting, yeah. Yeah, because I'm releasing a pattern with the Woolly Thistles new sock yarn Rambler. Really exciting. And it's coming out next on the 19th, I think. I think they already said, yeah, they released an email that said all this stuff, so it's not a secret anymore. But it's exciting. So we're laying it out today. Pattern's done, we should lay it out, we'll make it look pretty. And Jordan is a whiz with all that stuff because she's a graphic designer. So it's been 40 minutes, that's long enough. Yeah, I'm excited to see where my brain goes with all this. See what comes up next for me here. And yeah, keep watching. I'll let you know. Hopefully this cowl is done by next weekend. That would be nice to just have that off the needles. OTN. Sometimes people say OTN to mean on the needles, and some people say off the needles. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. I gotta make some Fair Isle hats for various reasons, and I will share those with you too, as always. But I'm trying not to cast any of them on until after this one's done, because Fair Isle hats are so quick and they just pull all my attention away from everything else. And so I'm like, I can't do that. I really can't let myself do that until this is done. Whoop. I'm just stalling. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go sit and work on this for a bit till Jordan gets home and we do pattern layout. So yeah, maybe I'll sit outside. It's nice out today. It's not too hot. It's like 80 out today. So maybe that is hot. But I don't know. It's September, but you know, in my mind, it's not gonna be fall for ages. It's not gonna feel like fall for ages at least. So it's just the way of the world in this part of the world. But maybe I'll be wearing sweaters by October. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye!